Am I the a-hole for either letting my mom be homeless, or offering her a plane ticket to her home country? I 29 FM originally from a North African country, but currently live in the UK. When I was 5, my dad divorced my mom and vanished. 2 years later, she met a guy online, married him and moved to France. She lied to him, said she was never married and had no kids, so I was forced to pretend that she was not my mother when they visited every other year. I was left with my grandma, and she did her best to raise me, but she was pretty old by then, so I ended up being the caretaker when I got a bit older. Nevertheless, I knew my best bet was to study hard, so I did so. I went to a top engineering school, then started working for a multinational, then I was promoted and moved to the French branch. By then my grandma has passed away, my mom already had pretty much no contact with me, and her kids thought me as the orphan that their grandma used to raise, so I didn't even tell her that I moved to France. 2 years ago, I moved to a new company in the UK, and I make a pretty good living, and with no one to support, I am pretty financially secure. Then my mom reached out to me. Apparently her husband divorced her, her kids can't help her, I don't know why, she mentioned some financial reasons, so she got my number from a cousin I'm in contact with, and wants me to move her in with me. I told her that will not be happening, the only help I will be offering was a plane ticket back to her home country, and she can then do whatever she wants, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't owe her anything. Most of my family are on her side, mainly because of religious and cultural reasons, but I wanted to make sure that I wasn't letting resentment cloud my judgment. Am I the a-hole for selling the family heirloom even though I had the legal right to do so? I've recently found myself in a whirlwind of family drama, and I'm honestly unsure if I've done the right thing. My great-grandmother left behind a valuable family heirloom, a vintage grand piano. In her will, she bequeathed it to me specifically, stating that she wanted me to have it due to my deep passion for music. I've been playing the piano since I was a child, and she always appreciated my connection to it. However, my current living situation doesn't allow for such a large item. I live in a small apartment in the city, and the piano has been in storage for the last 5 years, incurring monthly storage fees. Recently, I've faced some financial hardships, and after careful consideration, I decided to sell the piano. I used the money to pay off some debts and set aside a portion for my future, possibly for a down payment on a house. When my family found out, they were furious. Many feel that the piano should have remained in the family and passed down to future generations. They argue that its sentimental value far outweighs any monetary gains. I understand their sentiments, but I also felt burdened by the costs of storage and the practicalities of my situation. The piano wasn't being used or enjoyed, and I believed selling it was a beneficial decision for my future. Am I the a-hole for accidentally letting my sister's friends I have a crunchy vegan baby? My daughter is 6 months old and breastfed. I am vegan, my husband isn't, and our toddler is vegetarian/vegan-ish. He doesn't like animal dairy but will ravish eggs. We don't cook meat in the home, although my husband eats it out of the home, and our toddler isn't a fan. Before anyone jumps on my ass, he has been introduced to it because his dad eats it. He just prefers fries. Same, kid. Anyway, I took my daughter to my parents' house about a week ago. My mom is also vegan, so we were eating our tofu and rice. My daughter has just started solids, so she was also going ham on my plate. My parents' dog ate more than I did. My younger sister, 15, had her friends over. They were having burgers or something and watching me with my daughter. After I ate, I nursed her and one asked if I was vegan. I said yes. She got this weird kinda look, and asked if my baby was going to be vegan. I just kinda shrugged because, you know, she could be a dairy-hating fry fiend like her brother or a cheeseaholic like her daddy. Maybe, maybe not. My sister's friend nodded and spoke to me a little more before leaving. I thought it was a little odd but shrugged it off. Teens are weird creatures sometimes. Anyway, unbeknownst to me, this teen had decided I was a crazy vegan crunchy mom. There's a few TikTokers who are apparently stupid about their kids' safety and happen to be breastfeeding vegans. Like yours truly. I thought all was well. My sister sent me a link on the importance of a balanced diet for kids among a few other bits, and eventually I called her. I was like, what the hell? And she started going on about how I was a bad mom. I told her to watch her mouth and she blew up and said I was the one with a crunchy vegan baby. So, turns out, her friends are all convinced my children are terribly abused by my veganism, and because she'd never seen my toddler eat meat, it was clearly true. I told her to calm the fuck down, explained my parenting, yada yada. She then got mad because all her friends think I'm a terrible mom and I should have been clearer and not just shrugged her friend's question off because I should have known what they would have assumed I meant. I think she's being dramatic. They were worried, wires got crossed, all is well. She's still acting like it's the worst thing in the world. So, basically, AITA for making a mistake and having my sister's friends think I've got a crunchy vegan baby? As a side note, my husband was feeling petty, so he went and got ribs for lunch. Filmed little lady eating her first rib. I can now firmly say she will not be a vegan, vegetarian or anything of the sort. Happier than a kid on Christmas. Am I the a-hole for telling my vegan sister she can't serve only vegan food at our family reunion? Hey all, I'm genuinely torn about this and need some clarity. Every year, our family has a reunion where different members host. This year, it's my younger sister's turn. She's been vegan for about 3 years and is quite passionate about it. We all respect her choices and make sure there are a good variety of vegan options whenever we have family gatherings. When she announced she'll be hosting, she also said that the entire menu would be vegan to align with her beliefs and that it's a chance for the family to try something different. Some family members were excited, but others, including many of the older folks, were pretty upset and felt like they were being forced into her lifestyle, even if just for one meal. I spoke to her privately and asked if she'd be open to including a few non-vegan dishes for those who aren't keen on a full vegan menu. She got quite defensive, saying this was her chance to showcase veganism and that for one meal, everyone can give it a go. I respect her beliefs, but I also think that forcing an entire family to adopt her choices, even if just for one meal, isn't fair. She's now upset with me for not being supportive and says I'm not respecting her choices. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my sil and telling her I have zero desire to raise her child? I, 44F, am married to my hubby, Jimmy, 48M, for over 2 decades. My parents died suddenly in a car accident 10 years ago. I have a younger sister, Abigail, 39F, with Down syndrome, and Jimmy and I are guardians. Abigail is my sweet angel on earth. When my parents passed, I was a working mother of 3 young kids, helping to build our family business with my husband. At first, Abigail lived with us full-time. Jimmy has always been at my side with her care and loves her to bits. After a few months we realized that my sister needed more attention than we could give her. There was just not enough time in the day. We discussed what would be best for her and decided to put her into a private adult home for special needs people. It's very costly, over $10,000 a month, and comes from our own finances. The facility does all sorts of activities and field trips. She loves her home, her friends and the special days the facility hosts. We are always stopping by to either visit, sign her out on holidays to spend with family, keep her overnight for special sleepovers with my kids and take her on every vacation with us. We never go more than 24 hours without one of us making sure she's okay. Now on to the issue. I have a sil, Jenny, 42F, who had her first child after years of trying. She's become the typical first-time mom who believes she invented motherhood and is openly opinionated about things she believes other parents fall short on. I mostly ignore her and so does Jimmy. We hosted a barbecue at my house for Labor Day with my Mill, Jenny, her husband, baby and my kids. Abigail had a planned trip to the zoo and asked if she could go. Of course, we said okay. While we were eating, Jenny turned to me and asked me where Abigail was. Her tone was more accusatory than questioning. I simply didn't want to get into it with Jenny, so I said Abigail wanted to stay at the home. Jenny then turned to her hubby and said, "See, this is why it won't ever happen." My Mill asked Jenny what she was talking about. Jenny, all snarky, said to the whole table, "We did our wills last week and knew these two wouldn't be suitable as guardians of our baby if something happened to us. They tossed her sister into a home rather than be real family to her. I won't let that happen to my child." I didn't let it show, but I was extremely hurt she could say this. Instead of yelling, I laughed at her and said, "Well, that's great news since I have zero desire to raise your kid." More was said, but that's the gist of it. Jenny left with her family calling me nasty swear words as she walked out. I might have said a few swear words myself right back at her,